Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Markelle Fultz are dominating the headlines for the Philadelphia 76ers. And for good reason too. But there is another young talent on their roster that isn't getting enough credit or hype. While Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are dominating the touches in the post and as the lead guard, Dario Saric is playing his trade on the bench and starting to show even more signs that he could be a perennial Sixth Man of the Year candidate for the 76ers in the future. This video will cover his entire career, from Europe to his fantastic rookie season to the weird role he finds himself in now, and my predictions for his career going forward. Dario Saric was born in Croatia and would enter into a family of basketball. His mother and father both played basketball professionally, and like so many future NBA players, he had a basketball in his hand from an incredibly young age. Saric would begin his true professional playing career with Zagreb. He had played some pro ball before that, but it would be with Zagreb that he would begin to make a name for himself. With Mario Hezonja, now with the Orlando Magic, Saric would win the EuroLeague Next Generation tournament, and was named as the MVP of the tournament, as well as recording a triple-double in the final game. With this performance, scouts' heads would turn, from other European clubs and NBA teams as well. Following this, Saric would sign a 4-year deal with Croatian club Cibona, and it was here that he would truly establish his dominance within Europe and raise his NBA profile. In 2013, he would win the Croatian National Cup and the League Championship, as well as winning the MVP in the finals. Following this season, he would consider entering the NBA draft for the first time, but would withdraw 2 days before the draft began. As a result, he would be named FIBA's European Young Player of the Year in 2013, an award he would win for a second time the year after. Saric would then go on to win the MVP, the Finals MVP, lead the league in scoring, and win the championship in the Adriatic League, all at the incredible age of 19. Saric had arrived. He was dominating a league full of pros and would move to the EuroLeague the next season. Saric would also finally enter the draft for good after this year, with the intention to eventually move over to the NBA later on in his career. The Philadelphia 76ers would cunningly take Elfrid Payton with the 10th pick in the 2014 draft, and traded the draft rights to him to the Orlando Magic in exchange for the 12th pick and a future first-round pick from Orlando. This was an incredible steal of a trade by Sam Hinkie, and shows how knowing your opponent's true desires and wants can allow you to force them to pay overs for players that you don't necessarily want. But enough dissing the Orlando Magic front office. This trade allowed the 76ers to then select the player they really wanted, Dario Saric. Saric was perfect for the 76ers, as they were in the middle of a tank and probably preferred that Saric wanted to remain in Europe for 1 or 2 more seasons, as Dario would have had the potential to add a few wins to the team, and the 76ers' goal at this stage was to lose as many games as possible, and that was the strategy that would eventually net them Ben Simmons. Plus, by delaying Saric coming over, it delayed when they would sign him to his incredibly cheap 4-year rookie deal, and allowed them to stagger their salary a little bit more. This has proved to be key for the 76ers, as Saric will come off the books and into restricted free agency at the same time as Ben Simmons. If he had come over just 1 year earlier, the 76ers would have had to tie up significant space to sign him if he was good, the year before they signed Simmons. Now they will be able to sign unrestricted free agents and bolster the team before going over the cap to sign their rookies with their bird rights. The entire Saric move was so well organised by Hinkie and his team, and I cannot applaud their foresight and execution of their plan anymore. Hinkie was truly one of the best GMs this league has ever seen, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him working for a front office sooner rather than later. Following the draft, Saric would move to the EuroLeague and sign with Turkish club Anadolu Efes. Here he would become the youngest player ever to win the EuroLeague MVP of the Month award, and in May of 2016 he would finish second in the EuroLeague Rising Star, behind Alex Abrines. During his time in Turkey, Saric's dad heavily criticised the head coach of the club, as he thought Dario was not getting nearly enough playing time or a big enough role. So, after 2 seasons in the EuroLeague, where he shot the famed 50-40-90 splits in his second season, Dario would finally come over to the 76ers for his rookie year. 76ers fans were incredibly excited for Saric to join the team, as it was at the same time as they had just drafted Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid finally looked healthy for the first time in ages. Unfortunately, Simmons would miss the entire year, and Joel Embiid only managed 33 games for the season, but Saric would play 81 games for the year and showed a lot of growth over the course of the year. Like most rookies picked in the late lottery, Saric would struggle initially in the NBA, as he adjusted to the quicker pace, longer length of the defenders, and the incredible athleticism that the league possessed overall. Between the start of the season and the beginning of 2017, Saric would only manage 9.5 points a game, with 6 rebounds and 1.7 assists. He would average very similar stats in January, before exploding from February till the end of the season. At this stage, Joel Embiid had become injured and was shut down for the rest of the year, and Dario was given a much bigger role on a team that struggled without Embiid. From February until the end of the year, Dario would average 17 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 3 assists a game, an excellent stat line for a rookie. He would also win the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month award in both February and March, and at the end of the season he would finish second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Malcolm Brogdon. Saric would also make it to the All-Rookie First Team, to cap off a fantastic rookie campaign that included a 32-point game against the Chicago Bulls and a 29-point performance in a close win against the Lakers. Philly fans were ecstatic. Their two rookies had fired on all cylinders, and with them both coming into the season healthy alongside Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz, there was a buzz in Philadelphia. But Saric would be moved to the bench to start the season, as Ben Simmons occupied the 4 position on defense for a lot of the time, and Brett Brown felt he couldn't afford to start Saric, Covington, Simmons, and Embiid. Similarly to his rookie year, Saric would struggle off of the bench, and from the eye test, I think that Dario struggles to fall into his groove, find his rhythm within games when he doesn't start or get big minutes. Saric seems to be one of those players that plays his best basketball the more he plays. The more he touches the ball, and when he makes a good play on either end, it fires him up and he continues to play better. This is difficult to achieve when playing for 3 or 4 minutes either side of quarter time and other spot minutes off of the bench. In the first 5 games of this season, the 76ers would go 1-4, and Saric would only manage to average 5.6 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 1.4 assists in 21 minutes a game, on absolutely horrendous shooting. Brett Brown would realise this and would adjust the lineup with the injury of JJ Redick, and chose Saric to replace him. When Redick came back, Brown decided to continue to experiment and moved Jared Baelish to the bench and started the big lineup of Ben Simmons, JJ Redick, Robert Covington, Dario Saric, and Joel Embiid. This lineup has gone 5-3 in their last 8 games, and 2 of those losses were to the seemingly unbeatable Golden State Warriors. They've been playing fantastic basketball, and I haven't been able to stop watching their games as they rip through teams through the fantastic play of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. But since starting, Saric has managed to put up 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all whilst shooting 38% from 3, a much better rate than the 31% he shot in his rookie season. And whilst these numbers might not blow you away, and his overall field goal percentage is quite low, he's clearly the 5th offensive option on this team, and that is reflected by the 77% of his shots being assisted this season, compared to 63% in his rookie year, as well as Saric taking a lot fewer shots than he did last season. And while Saric has been shooting a poor percentage from the field overall, I think this will improve the more he gets used to this new role on the team, and learns to cut backdoor and get open in the corners to receive passes from Embiid and Simmons. But when Markelle Fultz comes back, if he proves himself like the 76ers fans and most scouts believe he can, he will likely re-enter the starting lineup, and Saric will return to the bench. And the bench is where I see Saric spending a large portion of his Philadelphia career, as an incredible option for your 6-man. Saric can come into the lineup and play so many different positions, and this is incredible for Brett Brown, whose lineups are constantly thrown by the foul trouble Embiid and other rookies find themselves in. In the preseason, Saric was playing some small ball 5 and showed great chemistry with Simmons in this role. But going forward, I think they'll use Saric as a point forward to run the offense through when Simmons is sitting, and in a variety of ways to abuse and stretch defenses out. Saric can shoot threes at a solid clip, post players up, make good passes to the roll or fade man, and even run pick and rolls himself. But to be truly effective, Saric will need the ball in his hands to make plays for himself and his teammates. And it'll be incredibly interesting to see how Brett Brown manages the touches and ball handling in Philadelphia. If Saric does take these steps forward and truly fulfills his potential as a player, he eventually might want to leave Philadelphia for a starting and more featured role on another team. As whilst the process has left the 76ers with an absolute ridiculous amount of young talent, there are only so many touches on the court, and Embiid, Simmons, Covington and Fultz will demand and deserve a lot of them. Especially Embiid and Simmons, who are so efficient and truly have the potential to be some of the greatest players of their generation. But whilst he is there, Philadelphia is a great place for Saric to develop. With the pressure off him, he can focus on improving his defense, his spot-up 3, and learn to play a multitude of positions and roles in a team that will ask him to do so many different things. It will not be easy, and I'm sure at times Saric will wish he could play for a team that could afford to give him a bigger role. But I truly believe if he devotes himself to it, He could become a fantastic bench piece that plays 30 minutes a game, provides fantastic shooting, passing, and rebounding for a team that seems destined to be an NBA dynasty. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future. And let me know in the comments below of what you think of Saric, the 76ers, and Dario's future in the league and the NBA.